The daily life of Immortal King Season 2 begins when Wang Ling nearly destroys the world by trying to save Sun Ron, the girl he loved so much. He finally manages to save her, and they return to the past, and she remembers absolutely nothing about the incident nor her feelings for him. After that incident, the Devil Frog warned Wang Ling not to do anything harmful to the universe anymore because he had interfered with the law of cause and effect, which caused the value of the spiritual power in this world to decrease considerably. In another place, Zhou Yi was seen meeting a man who was his superior to report on Zhang Liuying's attempted assassination of Sun Rong. Even though he had caught Zhang Liuying, he hadn't gotten any information about the client who hired her and her shadow faction to kill Sun Rong. Knowing that there had been a tremendous surge of spiritual energy at the location of the spiritual sword competition, Zhou Yi volunteered to investigate the cause of this phenomenon. Meanwhile, at Faction 60 High School, Sun Rong and the others seemed worried about Wang Ling's condition, as he looked gloomy after winning the spiritual sword competition, even though, in reality, he just wanted to live his life in peace and quiet. Not long after, Pan Shenchong entered the elite class and informed that all students would take a test to measure their spiritual energy in the intermediate phase. Anyone who does not pass the test will be expelled from the elite class. Realizing that Wang Ling had a very low spiritual strength score, Sun Rong and Chao Chen volunteered to help him pass the test, but he just walked away. After that, Guo Hao went to Wang Ling and begged him to help make the golden pill that could increase his spiritual strength because Guo Hao also didn't want to be expelled from the elite class, especially after finding out that his spiritual energy was very low in the intermediate phase. After being urged by Guo Hao, Wang Ling finally agreed to help, and he also asked the Devil Frog for help. On the other hand, Master Wang told the students to gather in the field because soon they would be conducting a spiritual strength test there. After informing the rules and conditions for passing the exam, he told students to take the tests one by one. Back to Wang Ling, he was in the alchemy room helping Guo Hao make the golden pill to increase his spiritual strength. However, their actions were almost caught by Pan Shenchong, who suddenly entered the room because she realized that something was odd there. After successfully tricking her, Guo Hao immediately drank the golden pill, but his strength became so uncontrollable that Wang Ling had to stop him before chaos happened. But because of that, he actually fainted for an hour. Guo Hao finally came to his senses, and at the same time, Master Wang called his name for the test. Knowing that he had been unconscious for more than an hour, he immediately became frustrated that the effects of the golden pill would wear off within an hour. He would accept it if he didn't pass the test. Unexpectedly, Guo Hao actually managed to pass the test thanks to the push done by Wang Ling earlier, which turned out to be able to increase his spiritual strength. When it was Wang Ling's turn to do a spiritual strength test, Master Wang gave him a helmet because he thought Wang Ling's spiritual energy was very weak. But in reality, the spiritual power he possessed created such a powerful surge of energy, which could turn off electricity throughout a city, even reducing the value of spiritual power around the world, as detected by the space station. Seeing this, Master Wang and the others tried to unplug the cable connected to the energy source. But their efforts were useless until finally Wang Ling gave his spiritual sword, Jinkei, to Sun Rong and asked her to cut the cable. Unexpectedly, Sun Rong's sword swing caused such tremendous damage that it created a gap between the dimensional boundaries that impacted another world. The scene then switches and shows the Demon Emperor realizing that something has happened to his world. His counselor then informed him that there had been a serious rift in the chasm leading to the human world. Hearing that, the Demon Emperor remembered that he had sent a demon lord named Tun Tianha, none other than the Devil Frog, to conquer the human world. He immediately realized that Tun Tianha had failed in doing his orders because humans had not been exterminated. The Demon Emperor was even more furious when he discovered that the human world was continuously absorbing spiritual energy from the demon world because the value of the spiritual power of the human world had drastically decreased. Knowing that the Demon Emperor was furious at Tun Tianha for failing to conquer the human world, the counselor rushed to the human world and gave the Devil Frog a message regarding his visit there. In another place, the Devil Frog looks very surprised when it receives a message from the Demon Master, who is coming to the human world. Because of that, he went to Wang Ling's house to hide. However, upon arrival, he didn't say why he came there and told Wang Ling that he had just missed him. Meanwhile, Pan Shenchong, Wang Ling's homeroom teacher, intends to visit his house because his spiritual strength value is very low. She also came there because their school electricity bill skyrocketed after what he did in the spiritual strength test a few days ago. At the same time, the Demon Master finally arrived in the human world. Still, he had a hard time locating Tun Tianha's whereabouts because his pupil deliberately hid his spiritual power's energy. On the other hand, Wang Ling finally discovered that the devil frog had come there to hide from his master, who was looking for him. After that, the devil frog revealed to Jinkei and Wang Ling that his master was an ancient demon that had lived for millions of years and possessed a formidable, unimaginable power. He is terrified of the demon master, as he underwent torturous training while under the demon master's tutelage. After dinner, Wang Ling's father asked the devil frog to help put a seal on Wang Ling. However, he placed the seal in reverse so that Wang Ling's spiritual power energy leaked out, and he suddenly spoke in a language they didn't understand. Luckily, the devil frog managed to devour the spiritual energy, thus causing no damage. However, Pan Shenchong rushed over to the house before they could repair the seal. Wang Ling's parents then welcomed the female teacher in a friendly manner. However, they immediately noticed the strangeness that happened to Wang Ling because of the attitude he showed to his teacher. Wang Ling's mother also took Pan Shenchong around the house, giving Wang Ling's father and the devil frog time to repair the power seal. But it turned out that, even though the seal had been fixed, the spiritual energy that Wang Ling had previously accidentally released had made the house furniture come alive and move on its own. To deal with the chaos, Wang Ling uses the devil frog as his weapon. On the other hand, his mother took Pan Shenchong to a room while telling her about Wang Ling's past. However, his mother lied a bit about his spiritual power and highlighted the suffering he went through because he never had friends and was always shunned by others. Listening to that life story, Pan Shenchong also realized that she shouldn't judge him because he has very weak spiritual strength. In another place, the demon master, who had been lost for a while, finally learned of the devil frog's whereabouts and rushed to Wang Ling's house. Realizing that his master knew his whereabouts, he was so scared that he fell unconscious. However, at the same time, Wang Ling's seal was damaged after cleaning up the mess in his house, resulting in a powerful spiritual energy burst from within his body, which killed the demon master just as he was about to enter Wang Ling's house. The devil frog, who knew that the demon master was dead, leaving only his wreath, looked so shocked because he didn't know how it happened. On the other hand, Pan Shenchong finally said goodbye to Wang Ling's parents and told them that from now on, she would pay more attention to emotional education to understand better the difficulties experienced by her students. The scene then switches to the past, 10 years ago, before the devil frog attacked the human world. Shortly before the appearance of the devil frog, a man named San Ren was seen boarding a flying sword with his wife, Yuer. Both are assassins on a mission. But then, the flying sword experienced turbulence due to the sudden surge of spiritual energy. A flight attendant warned passengers to take their seats and wear seat belts. However, Yuer paid no heed to the warning, so her body was blown out when there was severe damage to the plane's tail. Back to the present time, the incident was actually told by Guo Hao, who said that after the airplane accident, San Ren and his wife reportedly disappeared somewhere. According to rumors, he was hiding near Faction 60 High School. Even some students were said to have met him at the school. Not long after, Pan Shenchong entered the class and introduced a student from the regular class who was about to enter the elite class because she managed to score high on the spiritual strength test some time ago. The female student Lin Xiaoyu turned out to be the girl Wang Ling had seen in the alternative world he had created while trying to save Sun Rong. Jinkei was also aware of that and wondered why she seemed familiar to him. After that, Pan Shenchong told the students that she would replace Master Wang to teach today because he was on important business. Master Wang was apparently helping Zhou Yi to locate Zhang Liuying's sister, Zhang Liuyue, who was also part of the Shadow faction. They managed to track down her spiritual energy, but all of that turned out to be a trap. Zhang Liuyue had been in Faction 60 High School because her sister had been locked up in the school's underground prison. On the other hand, Guo Hao and Chen Chao, who was still talking about San Ren with Wang Ling, accidentally saw Zhang Liuyue's figure in their school and secretly followed her. They finally arrived at a room, where they realized that someone had been living there all along. Not long after, footsteps were coming into the room, so Wang Ling and the others went into hiding. It turned out Lin Xiaoyu came, and they knew she had been living in the room all this time. They had been involved in a small incident with her until they accidentally opened the door to a hidden room. At the same time, Zhang Liuyue finally discovers her sister locked up in the dungeon. Instead of freeing her sister, she apparently intended to kill her sister for revenge. Wang Ling and his classmates fell there, then quickly told Jinkei to move them to another, safer room, since all the underground rooms are filled with traps. The scene then turns to Zhang Liuyue revealing that the woman is actually Yuer, San Ren's wife. She told her sister that shortly after the incident, she was sucked into the demon world and lived a miserable life in the demon world as a translator between the two worlds. She alleged that her sister was the mastermind behind the incident 10 years ago because she wanted to seize her position as the leader of the Shadow faction. Although Zhang Luying insisted that it wasn't her who caused the incident, she seemed to ignore her sister's words and shot an arrow at her sister. However, the attack was stopped by Master Wang, who arrived there just in time. On the other hand, Wang Ling remembered the incident 10 years ago, when he fought the devil frog, and his attack accidentally hit the sword-flying boat that San Ren and his wife were traveling on. He managed to save the passengers on the airplane but didn't realize that San Ren's wife was blown out of there. Meanwhile, Zhang Liyue finally met Master Wang and realized that he was her husband. They finally show their love to each other after being separated for 10 years. During that moment, they seemed so romantic that it made her feel not good. Wang Ling and his classmates finally managed to get out of the room and accidentally met Master Wang and Zhang Liyue, who were madly in love. A few days later, Master Wang explained about the maintenance of the spiritual sword, which is very important to maintain the durability and strength of the sword, because if the spiritual sword is not treated properly, it will be permanently damaged. Jinkei then remembered that he had never done any treatment so far, so Wang Ling also allowed him to do the treatment himself. When they came home from school, Sun Rong told her friends that they shouldn't do spiritual sword care carelessly. Sun Rong then took them to the spiritual sword flagship shop 4S, which was quite famous in the city. When they got there, they were surprised by the appearance of Lin Xiaoyu, who worked there as the spiritual sword caretaker. When they were involved in a conversation with Xiaoyu, they finally discovered her past, where she had only lived with her older sister since childhood. But one day, when Xiaoyu was 8 years old, her sister, who went to refine the spirit sword, never returned. Because of that, she worked in several spiritual sword flagship swords, hoping to meet her sister again one day. Not only that, but she also does this work to fulfill his daily needs. In fact, Xiaoyu was forced to live in an unused room at school because she did not have enough money to rent a place to live. Not long after, Tong Jingzhe from Faction 59 High School arrived with his 2 friends, where he was also about to take care of all his spirit swords, which were not small in number. Tong Jingzhe demanded that Xiaoyu finish the maintenance of all his swords as quickly as possible, as he would be coming to collect them tomorrow. Sun Rong tried to defend her because she couldn't possibly finish the whole spirit sword's treatment. However, she prevented Sun Rong from fighting with Tong Jingzhe because she didn't want to lose her job and would work overtime to fulfill his request. Knowing that Xiaoyu really likes spiritual swords but doesn't even have a spiritual sword, Sun Rong also plans to buy a spirit sword for her. However, Wang Ling had the idea of forging the spirit sword himself, rather than simply buying it for her. Sun Rong and the others agreed with his idea. After that, they waited until Xiaoyu came home from there. Before starting forging, they then prepared the materials needed to make spirit swords. Wang Ling was in charge of designing the spirit sword, and everyone seemed to agree with his design. While measuring the spiritual strength of the material they carried, Guo Hao and Chen Chao were surprised by the Demon Master's wreath material that Wang Ling brought, which turned out to be spiritually stronger than the scale. It indicates that the material's spiritual energy is not from the human cultivation world. However, they didn't seem to care about that and continued the process of forging the spirit sword. The next day, when Xiaoyu finally arrived and was about to start her works, Sun Rong and the others approached her while handing over the spiritual sword they had forged last night. Seeing the sword, she immediately burst into tears because the sword actually matched her sister's scabbard. She is also very grateful to her friends for being so considerate of her and happy that she finally has a spiritual sword on her own. However, their happiness was interrupted by the arrival of Tong Jingzhe, who wanted to do a trial test of a sword and challenged Xiaoyu to fight him with her spiritual sword. Sun Rong tried to prevent him from acting arbitrarily against Xiaoyu, but she couldn't do anything because it turned out that Tong Jingzhe was the owner of the flagship shop. The trial test was finally started. At first, Tong Jingzhe and his spiritual sword looked great with their spiritual power. He even deliberately attacked Xiaoyu, as if he didn't care about her safety. But when the youth's spirit sword clashed with his spiritual sword, he suddenly felt an extremely terrifying aura from the spirit sword. Sun Rong and the others apparently realized that too. Wang Ling explains to them that Xiaoyu's sword is devouring the spiritual forces of both Tong Jingzhe and his spiritual sword. Not long after, something shot toward them and broke Tong Jingzhe's spiritual sword before he lost his life as his spiritual energy was absorbed by Xiaoyu's sword. It turned out that the one who had saved Tong Jingzhe was Jinkei, who had just returned after receiving the best treatment, and the person who did the treatment was none other than Xiaoyu's older sister. Seeing that Xiaoyu was fine, Sun Rong and the others looked happy. That night at school, the Demon Master finally revived after being annihilated by Wang Ling a while ago. However, the Demon Master realized that he had lost his wreath and attacked Xiaoyu because she had his wreath. The demon master possessed her and was furious when he found out that his wreath had melted into the fire and made it into a spiritual sword material. However, after learning that Sun Rong was involved with the girl she currently possessed, the demon master seemed so happy because he finally got to meet her and intended to avenge the demons who seemed to have had problems with her ancestors. A few days later, a girl was seen giving a lucky charm to a young man who was her crush. Because it has entered the autumn festival, cultivators have a tradition of giving lucky charms to their relatives or close friends so that all their wishes this year can be fulfilled. However, her talisman was instead confiscated by Master Wang, which made her very sad. On the other hand, Sun Rong intended to give someone a lucky charm, but after seeing Master Wang confiscate her classmate's lucky charm, she had to think of another way. Xiaoyu, still possessed by the demon master, suggests Sun Rong give the lucky charm at night and then tells her that she lives in school. The scene then switches and shows Zhang Luying controlling her sister's spiritual arrow, who was left by humming. She actually realized that the value of the spiritual power of the human world was decreasing. It would affect the spiritual power of the seal of her cage, so it's easier to break the seal. Meanwhile, Wang Ling was seen in class with his friends, who discussed the myths in their school. According to the myth, on a certain date, they can see the future if they stand in front of the big mirror in the school. However, there were many myths in the school at that time, such as the singing of the spirit of a woman, the mysterious hand that appears from the toilet, and the elevator that leads to hell. Wang Ling, who heard the story, actually felt hungry and then took stock of snacks in the locker. Not long after, Sun Rong came over to him and then lightly patted his head with a piece of wood. Guo Hao and Chen Chao immediately realized that Sun Rong had given Wang Ling a secret code to meet her at school at night. Long story short, night came. He eventually meets her at school at night. However, not according to her expectation of wanting to be alone, he took Chen Chao and Guo Hao with him. Even though Sun Rong didn't seem to mind it in front of Chen Chao and Guo Hao, she was really annoyed. When they entered the school building, Chen Chao looked frightened when he heard a cat sound. Not wanting to be made fun of by his friends, he ventured to go first. However, he shuddered in fear upon shockingly meeting Xiaoyu. On the other hand, Wang Ling immediately noticed Xiaoyu's strangeness, especially after Chen Chao said that her body felt as cold as a corpse. At the same time, Zhang Luying finally managed to break the seal and break free from confinement. With joy, she laughed so loudly that even Wang Ling and the others could hear her laughter, who thought it was the laughter of a female spirit wandering around their school. After that, Zhang Luying thought of a way to get out of there and found water holes connected to water pipes throughout the school area. At the same time, Chen Chao and Guo Hao were in the toilet to pee. They immediately felt very frightened when hearing a strange movement in the water pipe, especially after the water in the toilet suddenly overflowed because she was trying to get out of there. They screamed as loud as they could and fell unconscious because of the fear. Hearing the screams of his friends, Wang Ling rushed into the men's restroom and found Chen Chao and Guo Hao had passed out. When checking into the cubicle, he met Zhang Luying, who was trying to get out of the toilet. However, Wang Ling then flushed the toilet, sending Zhang Luying back to the end of the aqueduct in the dungeon. Using her strength, she then moved to a room and found an elevator that could take her back upstairs. On the other hand, Xiaoyu and Sun Rong were trying to heal Chen Chao and Guo Hao, who were still unconscious from shock. Wang Ling didn't tell the girls what had happened in the toilet and said they had just slipped. Because the other two friends were unconscious, Xiaoyu encouraged Sun Rong to approach Wang Ling and be alone with him. But at the same time, Jinkei informed Wang Ling about Zhang Luying's move, so he rushed off to stop her attempt. She finally managed to reach the top floor using the elevator. However, just as she is about to exit the elevator, she meets him, who sends her back downstairs. Not long after, Sun Rong and Xiaoyu arrive and assume that the elevator is an elevator to hell because of the damage. Xiaoyu then left Wang Ling and Sun Rong so they could be alone. But Wang Ling and Jinkei realized that she had been possessed by the demon master and was plotting something terrible against Sun Rong. The demon master was apparently waiting for the right moment to kidnap Sun Rong. He brought her to the demon world to avenge his family. It happened because her ancestors had been slaughtering the demons in the western region for centuries. After that, she took Wang Ling to the big mirror told in the myth at their school to see the future for the two of them. At the same time, Zhang Luying finally managed to rise to the surface and became excited when she saw Sun Rong, so she intended to kill her right then and there. In front of the big mirror, Sun Rong then told the legend of the mirror. However, Wang Ling did not listen to her words because he was too focused on Zhang Luying, who was watching them. Not long after, Xiaoyu suddenly came and directly attacked Wang Ling until he was blown away from there and revealed that she was the demon master. Sun Rong took out her spiritual sword, but the demon master caught her with his nose. After that, there was a full moon shrouded as red as blood, indicating that the demon master's power was starting to increase. He then informed that the human world originally used the large mirror to suppress the space and time gap leading to the demon world, and now he will use the mirror to open the door to the demon world. Just as the demon master was about to drag Sun Rong into the demon world, Zhang Liuying suddenly charged forward and was about to stop the attempt. However, they lost quickly to Wang Ling, who immediately rushed to save her. On the other hand, the punch Zhang Liuying aimed at Xiao Yu could push the demon master out of her body, bounce him back into his world, and shatter the huge mirror. Zhang Liuying looked very irritated at Wang Ling and looked down at him, but he could easily defeat her with just one light punch. Since Sun Rong was unconscious after the incident, Wang Ling took the lucky charm she was about to give him and said he had received it. A few days after the incident, Chen Cha was seen watching the live stream of little fox fairy named Suda and looked so avid that he lost track of time and neglected his training. He was so infatuated with the fox girl, he even gave a gift of traditional medicine that his family had passed down from generation to generation after learning that Suda's master was seriously ill. Meanwhile, at the space station, Joey is seen contacting cultivation masters virtually to discuss the dwindling value of spiritual power on Earth. Even though cultivation masters thought it was not too dangerous, he insisted that if they didn't take proper measures to deal with it, the gap to the human world would be even more fragile, making them vulnerable to attacks from the demon world. He informs that spies from the demon world have repeatedly used the loophole to infiltrate the human world. One of the masters suggested they build a defensive wall, while the other said they should prepare for war with the demons. When Joey tried to appease the masters, one of the masters, who was not shown his physical appearance, suggested that they capture a demon and interrogate him to provide information about the demon world. The other masters then agreed to follow the advice. Seeing the attitude of the masters who respected him so much and followed every word he said, it was clear that he who did not show his physical appearance was the great master. He possessed spiritual power that surpassed other cultivation masters and was none other than Wang Ling. Wang Ling was forced to cut off the virtual connection from the masters' meeting because Guo Hao told him that Chen Cha was being scolded by his father in front of the school gate. His father looked furious when he found out that Chen Chao's cultivation power level had dropped drastically to the lowest level and asked what his son did to lose so much cultivation power. Hearing this, Chen Chao's father seemed to understand the reason and forgave his son for thinking he had done good, and as long as Chen Chao did good, he would definitely get a good reward. However, after his father found out that his son had stolen their family's traditional medicine, he became furious and destroyed Chen Chao's cell phone. He even threatened to throw Chen Chao out of the Chen family and kick him out of the house if he still insisted on watching Suda's live stream. Guo Hao became curious about why Chen Chao's cultivation power level had dropped drastically even though he was only watching the live stream. Sun Rong also seemed to be wondering because one can give spiritual power through the internet. Still, it wouldn't lower the level of cultivation power so drastically as Chen Chao did. Xiao Yu then explained devil magic, where devils usually disguise themselves as beautiful women or handsome men to attract humans and then absorb the spiritual power humans possess. On the other hand, Chen Chao ignored his father's warning and still watched Suda's live stream through the computer at school. Knowing this, Sun Rong and the others thought of a way to stop Suda's live streaming. Xiao Yu says that the only way is to use the soul-splitting technique, where one has to separate the soul from the body, then enter the internet world to get to where Suda does live streaming and stops her. However, a very high level of cultivation power was required to perform this technique. On the other hand, Guo Hao seems to have found a fairly effective way, namely by hacking the computer system to destroy the internet connection used by Suda. Therefore, he was going to use his Trojan horse-shaped digital spirit beast that he had carried for years. However, Suda had already anticipated the digital attack and could easily defeat Guo Hao's digital Trojan horse. Wang Ling then remembered Sun Rong using an enchantment technique on Chen Chao and asked her to do it again to save their friend. Sun Rong immediately agreed and almost succeeded in persuading Chen Chao to stop watching Suda's live stream. However, Suda apparently didn't just let Chen Chao go and used a more powerful demonic enchantment technique to bring him back. Having failed to perform the enchantment technique on Chen Chao, Sun Rong became very frustrated, especially after realizing she was defeated by a lesser demon. Not long after, Chen Chao's father arrived and was very sad to learn that his son also suffered the same fate as him, blinded by love. Because Chen Chao did not heed his orders, he destroyed the computer that Chen Chao was using to watch the live stream. However, Chen Chao didn't stop there and instead used the soul-splitting technique to let his soul enter the world of the internet and meet Suda. However, upon arriving at Suda's place of live streaming, he finally discovered that she was a sinister demon who absorbed her cultivation power to heal her master, who turned out to be a demon master. On the other hand, Chen Chao's father tried to wake his son up, but Sun Rong said it was all in vain now that his soul was not in his body. Seeing this, Wang Ling then asked Guo Hao for the IP address of Suda's live stream because he was the one who would go to save Chen Chao. With his cultivation power, Wang Ling could perform the soul-splitting technique with great ease and managed to save Chen Chao just before his soul was absorbed by Suda. After that incident, Zhou Yi and his henchmen immediately raided Suda's hideout and found several giant containers containing his victim's spiritual power, including Chen Chao. However, even though they managed to recover the cultivation power of the victims, Suda apparently managed to escape. In the evening, Wang Ling watched the news on television, which reported that the multinational company owned by the Sun Rong family had just been declared bankrupt. The scene then switches and shows Sun Rong's father asking his relatives to help overcome the financial problems currently afflicting his company. However, none of his relatives or friends were willing to help when he was in a very bad situation. On the other hand, Sun Rong looks sad to see her father, who is frustrated, thinking of how to pay off their debts. Elsewhere, a mysterious person appears, who seems to be the mastermind behind the bankruptcy experienced by the Sun Rong family. Soon after, someone from the Songhai City Court came to Sun Rong's home with a warrant to confiscate all her family's assets, including their house, so they had to move to another place. The next day, Wang Ling, Chen Chao, Guo Hao, and Xiao Yi were seen looking for their way to Sun Rong's hometown at the foot of the mountain. At first, they were pessimistic about finding the location of Sun Rong's house because the mountainous area was very remote. But then, she came to pick them up swinging like Tarzan. Her friends looked stunned to see the changes that had occurred to Sun Rong and her family, who were once very rich and had everything, then became poor and lived in a stone cave. Sun Rong then told her friends that all of her family's possessions had been confiscated, and only the stone caves of her ancestors remained. Due to the drastic decline of the earth's spiritual power, the fairy grass plant, which is the main ingredient for making the golden pill, failed to harvest and caused huge losses, leading to the bankruptcy of the Sun Rong family company. However, Sun Rong's father seems optimistic. He is no longer stuck in the complicated situation his family is currently facing because he believes they just have to work hard and start over from scratch to get through the financial crisis they are currently facing. Meanwhile, Tong Jingzhe and his parents looked overjoyed that their rival, the Sun Rong family, had gone bankrupt. They had waited so long for the moment when the Tong family became the only ones to triumph and brought the Sun family down to the brink of poverty. Tong Jingzhe then thanked a demon named Richmond, who turned out to be the mastermind behind the bankruptcy of the Sun Rong family. Taking advantage of the moment when the value of the earth's spiritual power was declining, Richmond secretly spread negative information about the Sun Rong family company, causing all shareholders to leave the company and investors reluctant to invest in the company. He then warns the Tong family not to get complacent right away because their plan to destroy the Sun family forever isn't over yet. He then ordered the Tong family to do the next plan. When Sun Rong's father told the story of the Sun family's past glory, Sun Rong and Wang Ling was seen alone by the waterfall. She told him that the waterfall was a source of pure spiritual energy and that once the waterfall was very swift and filled the ponds scattered throughout the mountain area. However, the water was getting less, so the pools dried up. Sun Rong said that if the waterfall were to dry up completely, the pure spiritual power pulse of the mountain would completely disappear from the face of the earth. Hearing this, Wang Ling intended to offer help to her, but she refused, saying that she would rely on herself. In the evening, Wang Ling and the others decided to head home. But on the way, they saw a luxury car speeding towards Huaguo Mountain, where Sun Rong and her family lived. Wang Ling seemed to know who was in the car, but chose not to do anything. On the way on the train, Wang Ling and the others heard the news of the Tong family company's upcoming acquisition of the Sun family, which was planned to be done at Huaguo Mountain. The heirs of the two companies, namely Tong Jingzhe and Sun Rong, would be signed the agreement by blood. Wang Ling told his friends that the luxury car they passed on their way down the mountain was a car belonging to the Tong family, where they might have forced Sun Rong to sign the agreement. The next day, Wang Ling and his friends rushed back to Huaguo Mountain to save Sun Rong from a blood pact that might make her live in misery under pressure from the Tong family. On the other hand, Mr. Tong seems to be involved in a conversation with Sun Rong's father, in which he intends to carry out a large-scale expansion of Huaguo Mountain by growing plants that can increase sales value and bring profits to the company. However, he completely disapproved of this expansion because it could sever Huaguo Mountain's pure spiritual veins sooner or later. Wang Ling and his friends finally arrived at Huaguo Mountain, but they were immediately blocked by Tong Jingzhe's companions, who were their opponents in the spiritual sword competition. A fierce battle between them was inevitable. Chen Chao and Guo Hao were briefly entangled by the spider web controlled by Xiaobei, but Xiao Yu managed to save them both. On the other hand, Wang Ling rushed to the venue and managed to save Sun Rong just before she made a blood pact. He immediately took her away from there, but her father reminded her of their agreement with the Tong family. Sun Rong was forced to agree to the agreement, as the future of the entire Sun family and the thousands of employees who worked for them was at stake. As an heir, she is responsible for determining the future of the Sun family company and all the employees who work for them. Because of that, she doesn't want to be selfish, even though it means she must sacrifice her happiness and future. After learning about Sun Rong's explanation, Wang Ling and his friends finally chose to go home because they couldn't do anything to convince her to cancel the agreement. However, while passing by the pond near the waterfall, he felt something strange and went into the pond to check it out. Wang Ling found a strange, mysterious object and immediately pulled it out, which turned out to be the devil worm. During this time, Richmond apparently controlled the devil worm to absorb spiritual energy from the waterfall on Mount Huaguo and made the stock price of the company owned by the Sun Rong family plummet. Richmond immediately panicked when he discovered his plan to absorb the pure spiritual energy in Mount Huaguo had been discovered. Wang Ling, who didn't want Sun Rong to suffer, blew up the devil worm and Richmond inside. At the same time, the share price of the company owned by the Sun Rong family skyrocketed. The blood deal was eventually annulled, as was the Tong family company's planned acquisition of the Sun family company. It didn't stop there. Joey and his subordinates arrived there to arrest the Tong family because they were proven to have colluded with the demon world. As time went by, the city of Songhai held a Spirit Sword Arts conference which invited all school students in Songhai to show their sword arts skills. The judges at this sword arts conference were Joey, Madam Xie from Faction 59 High School, and two girls named Ling Yuan and Hanser, who were outstanding practitioners of the sword art that combines arts and martial arts. Ling Yuan and Hanser thought that spirit swords could not only be used for combat but could also display beautiful sword arts performances. In another place, Richmond is still alive and seems to be planning something at this sword arts conference. The first participant in the conference was Sun Rong. Even though she had not yet shown her ability to use sword techniques, Madame Xie had underestimated her and did not even hesitate to insult her. However, Sun Rong was not afraid of the insult and immediately showed her ability with her family's heirloom sword technique. The audience and judges seemed very impressed with Sun Rong's skill in controlling her spiritual sword. However, Richmond instead messed things up by driving her spirit sword out of control and attacking the judges. Master Wang rushed to save Madame Xie, aware of the impending danger. Seeing Sun Rong's spirit sword getting out of control, Joey and the audience blamed her for not being able to control her spiritual sword. Sun Rong, who didn't know what had happened to her spiritual sword, left the stage with a sad bow. Wang Ling and Xiao Yu also tried to comfort her so she would not be sad. Wang Ling, who realized something was wrong, told her it wasn't her mistake. Meanwhile, several officers on the space station informed the organizers of the Sword Arts Conference, or B Station, about the surge in spiritual energy that occurred because of the millions of pairs of eyes watching the conference around the world. The next participants in the conference were Chen Chao and Guo Hao. They wanted to perform a swordsmanship stunt to cheer up Sun Rong so that she would smile again and forget all negative comments about her performance. However, Richmond again messed up their appearance and made Chen Chao almost killed by his own sword. Not only were they ridiculed by many people, but Madame Xie also underestimated their abilities, even though they managed to beat her students in the spiritual sword competition. While watching the slowed replay, Wang Ling noticed another oddity in the sword arts performances by Chen Chao and Guo Hao. On the other hand, the number of spectators watching the conference was growing, as was the spiritual energy increasing rapidly, which made Richmond seem satisfied, as it indicated that his plan to gather spiritual energy on a large scale was proceeding smoothly. The conference continued, and the participant who appeared this time was Xiao Bei from Faction 59 High School. She was able to amaze the judges and all the audience with her sword art skills combined with today's technology, creating such a captivating attraction. Unlike Faction 60 High School students, Richmond didn't mess up Xiao Bei's performance, so she received praise and thunderous applause from the judges and the audience. When Chen Chao and Guo Hao returned to the stands, Sun Rong just realized that Xiao Yu and Wang Ling had disappeared somewhere. Xiao Yu turned out to be participating in the conference and became the participant who would appear after Xiao Bei. Because she wasn't wearing thick glasses, Xiao Yu looked beautiful with her long hair flowing softly. Combining swordsmanship and dance techniques, she and her spiritual sword amazed the audience and the judges. However, Richmond again messed up the appearance of Faction 60 High School students, so Xiao Yu had a hard time extinguishing the fire created by her spiritual sword. When the fire started to grow and almost fell on Xiao Yu's tree trunk, Soon Rong rushed up to the stage and saved her. Because of Soon Rong's strong determination to protect others, she finally managed to revive her spiritual sword that had been destroyed in the spiritual sword competition. After extinguishing the fire and successfully preventing the fire, Soon Rong and Xiao Yu then collaborated to perform a sword art attraction that was so graceful and beautiful. Unexpectedly, the performance of the two of them increased the number of viewers to 1 billion and received appreciation from the judges and all the audience in the studio. Not long after, Richmond appeared and thanked the attendees for making 1 billion people witness such a fantastic sword art performance and helping him get a steady flow of spiritual energy from everyone who witnessed the conference. Richmond later revealed that he had used a high-level manipulation technique to control everyone through a live broadcast that was broadcast worldwide. However, he was surprised because his manipulation technique didn't work for Soon Rong and Xiao Yu. Wang Ling arrives there and reveals that he has replaced Richmond's demonic magic formation with Soon Rong's enchantment technique. At first, Wang Ling's plan went smoothly, but Soon Rong's power cultivation could not eliminate Richmond's manipulation technique, so he managed to gain control of the 1 billion people who witnessed the conference, making them his puppets. Before all the chaos begins, we will be shown to the dungeon where Zhang Liuying is being held and heavily guarded. Because she tried to escape several times, she was eventually locked up in a special prison so she could not use her power. She tried to seduce the guards, but they already knew all of her tricks, so her efforts were in vain. But at the same time, Richmond's demon manipulation technique was able to affect everyone, including the guards there. Since Zhang Liuying was in a cage capable of warding off spiritual forces from inside and outside, she was not affected by Richmond's demonic manipulation technique either. However, it brings its own advantages in her effort to escape from the prison. In another place, Wang Ling, Soon Rong, and Xiao Yu were trying to escape and hide from everyone who had been controlled by Richmond. Like zombies, they seem unable to think with common sense anymore because their minds have been controlled. Jinkei suggested that Wang Ling use the memory loss technique, but he refused because the technique could lower a person's IQ level, even causing permanent loss of mind. Realizing that the people already knew their hiding place, Wang Ling took Soon Rong and Xiao Yu to slide up the building using Jinkei. Even though it wasn't a flying sword, he had no choice but to obey Wang Ling's orders to make it a flying sword. Among the people trying to climb onto the top of the building to catch up with them, Chen Chao used his strength to climb the building quite easily. Arriving there, Chen Chao, who was still under the influence of the demon manipulation technique, then confessed his love for Soon Rong. However, she immediately rejected his love, and he felt heartbroken. Unexpectedly, Chen Chao's heartbreak freed him from the influence of Richmond's demon manipulation technique and Soon Rong's enchantment technique. Seeing this, Soon Rong then made a blatant rejection of love to several people who pursued him, and they were freed from Richmond's influence, just like him. Xiao Yu then suggested that Soon Rong do a live broadcast to the whole world to free everyone from Richmond's demon manipulation technique, but their cell phone is not getting any signal. At the same time, Zhang Liuying appeared on top of a nearby signal tower and raved about her cunning ability to trick the guards and cut off the cell phone signal. Wang Ling and the others tried to warn Zhang Liuying about a meteor falling directly on her, but she kept babbling, so she couldn't dodge when a meteor smashed into the signal tower. Wang Ling then uses his powers to see where the meteor strike came from and finds that Richmond is the mastermind behind all of this. Since the signal tower had been destroyed, they thought of another way to broadcast live. Wang Ling then suggested going to the space station because it turned out that he had 2 tickets to the space station that B Station had given him as a gift to a lucky audience. By hovering using Jinkei, Wang Ling and his companions rushed to the train station, which would take them to the space station. Since Wang Ling only had 2 tickets, Chen Chao ordered Wang Ling to go to the space station with Soon Rong, while he and Xiao Yu tried to block everyone chasing them. Long story short, Wang Ling and Soon Rong finally managed to board the train that would take them both to outer space. On the way to outer space, she felt her heart pounding because now she was alone with him, and everything felt awkward. Soon Rong thought that Wang Ling would express his love for her, but instead, he questioned their unchecked tickets, so maybe they could take Chen Chao and Xiao Yu along. On the other hand, Chen Chao and Xiao Yu turned out to be utterly unharmed because those people were only after Soon Rong, thus ignoring the existence of the 2 of them. Soon Rong has finally arrived at the space station, and she will do live streaming, which will be broadcast worldwide. After introducing herself, she talked about her childhood as an heir to the Soon family, who was very rich and always felt loved by people around her. However, everything changed after her family suddenly fell into poverty. Then Soon Rong assumed that she couldn't be selfish and must be able to rely on herself. She said that her reason for participating in the conference is because she wants people to like her because of her abilities, not because she comes from a rich family. However, she did not expect that she would get that much love. Soon-Rong then apologized to everyone, saying that she only needed one person's love, which was enough to make her happy. After hearing Soon-Rong's statement, everyone in the entire world was heartbroken, and they were freed from Richmond's demon manipulation technique. However, the threat from Richmond did not end just like that. Knowing that his plan had failed, he also sent a giant meteor traveling at high speed toward Earth to destroy all living things in the world. Wang Ling didn't just stay silent and immediately destroyed the meteor by throwing his spirit sword. After that, the meteor fragments scattered in the sky. It even became a stunning sight when viewed from the space station. He then gave Soon-Rong his favorite snack, enjoying the beautiful view together. Back to the past, before attacking the human world, Richmond went to the Demon Emperor to tell him about Wang Ling and was wary of him because he pretended to be weak to hide his great power. Hearing this, the Demon Emperor gave Richmond full authority to destroy the human world, at any cost, so that the demon world could absorb all of their spiritual energy. Richmond put all his strength into a giant meteor he was about to drop to Earth. However, the attack was easily blocked by Wang Ling throwing Jing at him, causing the meteor to shatter into pieces, destroying Richmond once and for all. The Demon Emperor, who saw Richmond as easily defeated, ordered the Demon Master to light the dimensional lamps. At the same time, Soon-Rong proposes to Wang Ling to take a space station tour before they return to Earth, and he agrees. However, when they got out of the elevator, suddenly their form changed to 3 dimensions. Both of them were very surprised by what happened to them, and Wang Ling then realized that only where they were transformed into a 3-dimensional form, whereas on Earth and other planets, it looked normal. Meanwhile, the Demon Emperor began to attack the human world, and nothing could stop the massive invasion by the demons. Knowing that the safety of mankind was in danger, Joey immediately held an emergency meeting with cultivation masters to determine the next steps. They could not have a virtual meeting because the attacks from the demons had cut off their lines of communication with the space station. Joey told the masters that he had sent his 7-star squads to deal with the attacks from the demons. Still, they were overwhelmed because, on the other hand, they prioritized the safety of the citizens and acted quickly to evacuate. He then explained to the masters that the fissure that connected the human world and the demon world was right above Faction 60 High School. Joey also informed that the doom-breaking formation he set up to conduct a spiritual power test a while ago was still there. He just needed to find someone with high spiritual power to create enormous thunder to annihilate the demons. However, they would have a hard time finding that person, especially after Joey lost contact with the Great Master or the #1 practitioner in the world, who was none other than Wang Ling. One of the masters thought that the #1 practitioner was a coward because he couldn't be contacted when the world was in such a precarious situation. The master then volunteered to carry out Joey's plan because he felt confident in his spiritual power. Meanwhile, Wang Ling and Soon-Rong were doing everything they could to get out of there, but it seemed they were trapped and had no way out. Wang Ling might be able to use a technique to free them from there, but he needed his spiritual sword, which was thrown quite far and is trying to get back to him. Back to the human world, Joey and his squads try to withstand attacks from demons while evacuating civilians to safety. However, because of the large difference in strength, he also seemed overwhelmed by the demons that kept coming to attack them. Joey then planned to lure as many demons as possible to Faction 60 High School, where the Master had prepared to create a fierce thunderstorm over the doom-breaking formation, hoping to annihilate the demons there. However, the spiritual power possessed by the Master was not strong enough to eradicate all the demons there. However, the Demon Emperor thought the doom-breaking formation would make it difficult for them, so he sent a huge boulder to destroy the formation. Not just standing still, the Master then tried his best to stop the giant stone. But as it turned out, the Demon Emperor had prepared thousands of gigantic boulders of similar size, which would shatter the human world instantly. It didn't stop there. The giant boulder also brought along the monsters from the demon world, spreading terrible terror in the human world. Joey saw the horror of the massive attack by the demons, though this was the end of the human world, which might soon perish. On the other hand, Soon-Rong was also thinking the same thing as Joey. However, Wang Ling tells her not to give up because she will find a way to save the world, which may soon perish. With the help of Soon-Rong's spiritual sword, Wang Ling finally managed to destroy the spatial seal used by the Demon Master to lock them up in the space station. He then asked her to stay there while he would save the world. He didn't care anymore if his true identity was revealed because the most important thing now was to save the world from destruction. On the other hand, Joey, and everyone else who was already feeling pessimistic about the imminent end of the world, were suddenly surprised by the appearance of Wang Ling, whose body glowed brightly and managed to destroy several giant boulders. His appearance was also covered by the media. However, they did not know his true identity because his appearance was disguised by the bright light that surrounded his body. However, just as Wang Ling was about to destroy the other demons, he was suddenly approached by a girl who was similar to Xiaoyu and had a pair of butterfly wings. She then carried him away from there using the power of teleportation. A brief flash was shown when Xiaoyu boarded the train and was about to head to where the Demon Emperor was. However, to find out if she conspired with the Demon Emperor to destroy the human world, we will turn to the past when Xiaoyu was a child. At that time, Xiaoyu was trained by her father to grow a pair of wings on her back using her spiritual power. However, she seemed to have a hard time doing that, especially since her wings never appeared, no matter how hard she practiced. She was not a human but part of the butterfly race from another world. Her father then comforted her while saying that the butterfly wings they have are the most valuable things, so they are the target of the demons. During their conversation, suddenly, the demons attacked the butterfly race, so her father was forced to send Xiaoyu to another world to save the girl's life. Xiaoyu is stranded in the human world and is saved by a woman who he now considers her sister. At present, Xiaoyu tells Wang Ling her life story and about the Demon Emperor and his army who succeeded in conquering the butterfly race and destroying their world. The demons are very ambitious to become the single most powerful race in the entire universe by attacking other races that are weaker than them and taking spiritual energy from the world they have conquered to increase the strength of demons. Xiaoyu tells Wang Ling that the demons have invaded many worlds and succeeded in overpowering them, also that the Demon Emperor has a spiritual power unmatched by any creature in the universe. Wang Ling then told Xiaoyu that he had thwarted the attacks of the demons 10 years ago. However, she emphasized that the Demon Emperor had far more terrifying power than his subordinates, and he would soon find out because she was actually going to bring him in front of the Demon Emperor. Meanwhile, in the human world, Joey and everyone else there seemed to have lost hope of surviving the indiscriminate attacks that the demons continued to launch. But then, Sun Rong sent a message via a live stream broadcast through the space station. Sun Rong said that the demons had been planning an attack on the human world for a long time, and they might think that the humans would lose courage after the demons defeated the Master and the 7-star squads. She then reiterated to everyone that they are all cultivation practitioners. Even though their instinct to fight had been dulled, they had been taught and practiced to use the power of cultivation throughout their lives so that they have the power to rise up and fight against the demons. Sun Rong then asked everyone not to give up, and have a strong determination to defeat the demons and protect their world. Everyone who listened to Sun Rong's speech seemed moved, felt confident again, and dared fight against their enemies. The Demon Emperor, who also watched Sun Rong's live stream, praised her by saying she was truly a descendant of the legendary Sun family. However, the human efforts to fight the demons are likely in vain, as the Demon Emperor has sent more troops to conquer the human world. At the same time, Xiaoyu and Wang Ling finally arrived at the Demon Emperor's place. She was forced to obey the Demon Master's orders to bring Wang Ling in front of the Demon Emperor because they took her sister captive. The Demon Master then used his power to make Xiaoyu and Wang Ling kneel before the Demon Emperor. However, that power had no effect on Wang Ling, and he could easily get rid of the Demon Master by simply waving his hand. Seeing that his counselor had been defeated, the Demon Emperor immediately stepped down from his throne and attacked him. However, the attack had absolutely no effect on him, who instantly threw the Demon Emperor out of his palace. Not being in the human world, Wang Ling told the Demon Emperor that he would not hesitate to use his power because he didn't care about the damage his immense power would cause. However, no matter how hard the Demon Emperor tried to defeat Wang Ling, he could still not match Wang Ling's strength, so he was instead targeted by him. Xiaoyu, who saw the unequal battle, wondered how someone could have such a formidable power as Wang Ling. The Demon Emperor was already under pressure and asked why a human like Wang Ling had tremendous power that far surpassed him. The Demon Emperor had no idea that the human race he had underestimated would actually be able to rise from adversity and possess strength that surpasses the demons as an invincible race. Wang Ling said that humans had experienced so much suffering from time to time, but they always managed to rise again because they would never submit to the evil forces that wanted to destroy their world. Not long after, the Demon Master, who was still alive, suddenly appeared behind Wang Ling and released the seal on his nape, thinking that the seal was the source of his immense power. However, they made a fatal mistake by removing the seal because it was Wang Ling's true power-holding seal, which was far more terrifying. Immediately, a huge explosion destroyed the demon world, the Demon Emperor, and all his minions. The explosion also destroys the human world's demons, sending rain that can heal everyone there. It didn't stop there. The value of Earth's spiritual power also increased sharply, so they no longer needed to worry. On the space station, Jinkei tells Sun Rong that the demon world has been destroyed by Wang Ling. Meanwhile, Xiaoyu finally managed to save her sister and return to Earth with him. Xiaoyu thought that Wang Ling would kill her because she betrayed him. However, he apparently didn't mind it and instead asked her to call her father to come immediately with a new seal because he couldn't hold back his great power any longer and didn't want to destroy the world. Finally, after all that had happened, Joey was again crowned as a hero who was considered instrumental in defeating the demons. The townspeople then flocked to repair their town, which had been destroyed by the attacks of the demons. After that, everyone returned to their normal activities, and the situation was safe and peaceful again. Chen Xiao and Guo Hao were still wondering about the number 1 practitioner who had appeared while defeating the demons. But Sun Rong didn't say anything to her friends, even though she knew that Wang Ling was the person they were talking about. Wang Ling and Joey then visit the Devil Frog, who has been locked up in a dungeon because he is part of the demon race. They then free the Devil Frog and apologize for accusing him of being the Devil Emperor's spy. When the Devil Frog asked Wang Ling to take him to his hometown, Wang Ling told him that the demon world had been destroyed. The second season of the daily life of Immortal King has ended. The moral we can learn from this anime is that being strong doesn't mean being arrogant and easily putting down other people, because human greatness does not lie in wealth or power, but in character and goodness. Every human has faults and shortcomings, but all of us are born with goodness. So, we always have to be kind,